transpose and pivoting and unpivoting. With these three features that are available in Power Query Editor, we can reshape the data in a very simple manner. We don't have to do heavy lifting. If you in the case of formatting the data, with these three options, you can you can just point and click and you can reshape the data. Okay, first we will go by transpose, and then we will proceed with understanding pivoting and unpivoting. What is transpose? Transpose is nothing but rotating the entire table. That columns are converted to rows and rows are converted to columns. That is what transpose is all about. If you look at here, you have the Pune, the record value is displayed here. This is what, one second, every time I make this mistake. So this record, Pune, on June 30th, how much units or stocks we sold, how many stocks we sold in 15 July, how many stocks we sold in 452. So Pune records, you can see it here. Chennai data, you can see it here. Bangalore data, you can see it. Hyderabad, you can see it here. Supposing you want to convert the row into columns, in that kind of situation, the transpose, you can rotate this table. For example, now the row header is Pune, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad. The column header is 30 June, 15th July, 30th August. This is your column header. This is your row header. Now we want to convert your row header into column header. So now the Pune will come here. This one will get rotated here. So 280 and 643 will come here. 452 will come here. And the Chennai will become a column header, and all the values will get rotated. And here 1990, 982, 464. This is how you can see the data here. Once you use the rotate, just give me a second. I don't know why it is not. Okay, we will just go and explore how it works in Power BI. So what I will do is I will use another data set. This one, I just go to the get data, and here I just click on the expenses. Expenses. It is not a CSV file. It is a Excel file, it seems. Okay, one second. Mini files. Okay, this is an Excel file. Then we will go to the get data. I did not see that file. Expenses. Yeah, this is the one I want to use it. Expense.xls. See, sometimes even today afternoon, some developer, right, some student, she sent a screenshot saying that when she used the Excel file with the .xls extension, it was throwing some error, OLE error, something like that. Okay, and what you do is, in that case, you can convert this XLSX file. How do you convert that? You just simply open that file and click on Save As. When you do Save As, what you do is your file name will display, and the XLS, right, you put additional X here at the end and you save it. That's all. The XLS file will get kind of say XLSX, and when you load that with that, right, it will work fine. So now what I do is, in my case, both of them are working. I just use expenses.xls file, the older version of Excel file. It opens the data preview window, and here I just click on the expenses. So these are the sheets, sub-sheets that are available in your Excel file, the expense.xls. If you open this file, you will see 3 sub-sheets, and I just selected this one. I know very well in this sub-sheet, whatever the data that are available, that is more than sufficient for me. Okay, I just hit the load button. Now 27 rows got loaded. Very good. I just go to the data view quickly, and then I click on the expenses. I can see that whatever the data was there were there in my XLS file. it got loaded. Very good. So 27 rows. At the bottom, you can see the 27 rows. And the next step is I just go to the transform data quickly. Transform data is nothing but your Power Query editor. This is where you can do all kind of data transformation. I just click on the expenses query because I just want to play around with this one. Maybe up to 26 days old. I just clicked on it. And here, just beneath the transform, you can see the transpose icon here. Okay. And I'll just show you how the transpose works here. Look here, I just selected year column here. And then if I go and do it, transpose. So irrespective of the column that you selected, right, it does the rotation. So 21, 500. The transform is actually, it is kind of rotating your column values, your records. So what is this one? 2021 500. So what value we were having it? Look here, if you click on it here, right? The source, not the source, and promoted headers or change the type also you can see it. See, we were having something like 2020 in this row, right? So 2021 500, 5000, 2020, and this one got rotated. So just beneath this 2021 came here and 5000 came here. Similarly, 2020 just beneath this 2 and 1000. That each row got converted as a column. Okay, this one supposed to become a column header, but here instead it is considering this as a column one, something like that. Okay, or alternatively, what you can do is you can just go here and then use first row as it is. So the 2020 will go up here. So the 2020, what is it? But again, it puts underscore one and all, it will confuse you. Better you don't go by this. You leave it with the default one. The problem is, promoted headers. Yeah, I just leave with this one. And if I do the transform one more time, so the transpose, when I click on it one more time, you'll get back, it will help you to get back to the previous state. See, the columns, the rows became columns, and then the columns became rows now. That is what we can do it with the help of transform. It's very simple one. Are you able to understand or not? So this is how it works. Okay. And the next one is the pivoting. What is pivoting? You to convert your rows into columns. What is unpivoting? The opposite. Convert your columns into rows. But with the help of transpose, you can do both. Okay, you can do pivoting and you can do unpivoting. So now I'll just show you how to do pivoting. If you want to just pivoting alone, how to do that. Okay. And what I do is I just copy this query. How do I copy this query? This is my expenses on the left side, what you're seeing, right? So I just right click on it and then duplicate, because I don't want to disturb that one, because I want to refer it back later point in time. And here what I do is I just remove this one. The transposed form is not required. I want to see the original data. This is my original data. Okay. And I just click on the transform ribbon. Here you will find the pivot column. Okay. Before that, I'll just show you here. I selected year column. Remember that in the transform ribbon, you see the pivot column. When you click on the pivot column, what will happen is here it will ask you for the values here. The value is supposed to be your numeric value here. In this case, it is expenses. Okay. You have an advanced option. Here it will ask you want to do sum or average, something like that. So in this case, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to leave it as it is. Okay. I just go by the default value sum here in this case. Here I just selected expenses. When I click on OK, what will happen is the rows will get converted as a columns. So now it is the row is 2020, row header is 2020, 2021 and all, right? This is your row header. And this one will become a column header. Okay, the 2020 will come here and 2021 will come here and it'll become like that. Okay, I just click on OK and see what is happening now. Look here, the row header became column header now. this row header 20, 20, 20, right? It became a column header now. So all the 20, 20 related data get displayed in a single column. And if you see here, this report, it's quite compact, right? Compared to this one. You might be asking this question, why do I need to reshape the data? It answers, the pivoting answers your question. So here, if you see here, the 2020, you can see a lot of rows for 2020, 2021 and all, right? So, and when you do the pivoting, it converts your row into columns. Now, the row header became a column header. So all, each year, for each month, you can see the value. See for 2020 month one, what is the sales, and 2021 month one, and 2022 month one sales. You can see it everything in a single thing, right? It looks very compact. Whereas here also, here we have only three columns, but difficult to gain insight with this format. Hence, it requires some kind of reshaping with pivot. We are able to gain the insight in a pretty fast manner, though the number of columns are more, but it is far better than that. So this is what you are pivoting. Okay, the next one is unpivoting. Even for that, he has given a separate option here, unpivot. Here he has given three different options: unpivot columns, unpivot other columns. So now what I do is I wanted to unpivot all these three columns. I want to get back to the original state. So what I do is I just take the duplicate. I just want to duplicate the value. I don't want to disturb that one, so that you can compare it later more. Here, I just want to select each and every column to get back to the original state. And then I just go to the transform here, and then I click on unpivot columns. Those three columns, 2020, 2021, 2022 became rows. No, rows. Okay. And here you just say rename the column here. And here, this is your expenses. And then if you move the year at the far left, this is what your original state, right? Initially, we got this data. Since we did the pivoting and then we did unpivoting, right? So it got changed. So now we did unpivoting. Look here, I just show you one more time, unpivoted columns. These are the unpivoted columns. Pivoted column were this one, right? So now I want to unpivot. How do I do that? All the columns that I wanted to unpivot, you need to select it everything. And then you need to go here and you need to click on unpivot. Only then it will get, you will get the original state here. So all the three columns now become a rows. And then I just renamed everything. Okay, fine. So the next one is in the unpivot itself, we have two more options available. Unpivot other columns. See, for example, in this case, I do pivot here one more time. Okay, what we will do is before we proceed, okay, I just do the year, same thing. I just go here and then I do the pivot here. Or the best thing, I take month here. This time I want to do pivoting on the month column. I just go the transform here and then I just do pivoting here. In this case, the expenses is the values column. Let's see what happens here. This time I just did the pivoting on the month column, not on the year column. Even this one, the number of records got reduced to only 3, but the number of columns got exploded now. Okay. And here, this is another way of looking at the data. 2020 and month one, what is the sales? Okay, so now you understood the power of the pivoting. Okay, now you did the pivoting and now you want to do unpivoting. You want to get back to the previous state. So you want to have the year, month, expenses. So, this is your column header. The column header should become a row header. So month 1, month 2, month 3 should be there in separate column. The expense should be there in a separate column. For that, you need to do unpivoting. In order to do unpivoting, you need to select all these columns that got pivoted. So these columns got pivoted. Manually, you need to select each and every column. It's painful, right? And then go here and see, look here, something, I forgot to select the values. This is the painful thing. And then you go here and then transform, and then you need to click on the unpivot. You need to select all the columns that you want to unpivot. In this case, the number of columns are more. It's painful. For example, if I go here and if I select this one, we are getting this one. But in this case, I have selected multiple columns, more than one column, many columns. I selected many columns in order to do the unpivoting. So in this case, what I do is simply I just select only one column. I just go to the transform here, unpivot other columns. Except this column, rest of the column you unpivot it. Instead of go blindly going and selecting each and every column to do the unpivoting, he has given this option. That's all here. You just select this and unpivot other columns. Look here, you don't have to manually select all the 9-month columns, right? So that is the advantage of this one. And the next one is so here I don't have that is unpivot only selected columns. I just want to unpivot only selected columns. Rest of the columns I don't want to do it. So in that kind of situation, you can go for that. But here I don't have the data like that. Okay. So what I do is unpivot only a selected column. This is the pivoted one. Pivoted one is here. Sorry, this unpivoted one, right? So here I just rename this as a month. Once again, I do this as expenses. Okay, what I do is in this case, okay, year. I just move this somewhere here. Okay, let it be there. And I just want to unpivot this one. Unpivot means I just go here, unpivot only a selected column. So in this case, it doesn't make sense. Here, if you see here, it created two columns. One is for year, and then this one. Okay. See, in the case of okay, let me do one thing. I just undo this one. And I just select month instead of year, and then I just go here, unpivot only the selected columns. Okay, in this case, what happened? Your rows got converted as columns became rows now, right? So in the month became rows here. So each month. Okay, here what happened? Month, and all displaying it. Okay. So here, if you want to display something like one is Jan month and two is something like that, right? In that kind of situation, this one is helpful. Ideally, we need to use some other data. This data is not much helpful in terms of working with this scenario. This one, don't worry, I will show you later point in time. At this moment, remember the features of these two options. Okay. And okay, now we are done with the pivoting and unpivoting. With pivoting, we can convert the rows into columns, and the opposite is your unpivoting. If you want to convert your columns into rows, then you can use unpivoting. And what is the difference between transpose and pivoting and unpivoting? With transpose, in one go you can do pivoting and unpivoting. So once you click on it, it will become pivoting. And one more time when you click, it does both the job, pivoting and unpivoting. Or if you just want to only pivoting, you can use this one. Or you just want to unpivoting only, you can use this option. You can use this option. Okay. The next one is append and merge. What is append and merge? Look here, you have two files. Your manager has given you two files, and he wants you to combine these two files into a single file. That is nothing but append, combining rows from two or more files or tables. You want to combine these into a single file. That's all. Okay. So the append query means combining rows from two or more tables, one after another. We can say that way also. The append is similar to union all in SQL query. In RDBMS, you remember, right? So you know very well SQL. We write SQL queries to fetch the data from the table, right? So in SQL, we have different operators or union, union all, intersection, and anti-join, left join, likewise, different options are available. Union all. In SQL, what we call it as a union all, which is nothing but the append in Power BI. So in this case, what happens is blindly combine these two files into a single file. Even if there is a duplicate here, it will not remove the duplicate value. It'll combine these two files in a single file. In case of any duplicate values are there, it will not remove that. Okay. So when you use append, you need to be aware of this one. After you load the data, you need to check whether we have a duplicate record in it or not. In case of duplicate records, you need to eliminate. So that is the one, that is an extra step that you need to do it when you use append. After you append the data, the next step is you need to check whether any duplicate records are there. In case any duplicate records, you need to remove it. And the next one is the merge query. So merge. So merge query. Okay. What is merge? Even in this case, we combine the data from more than one table, but in this case, based on matching rows or the key columns between the two tables. This is the one you need to remember it. So in the previous one, simply you can combine the data one after other. Okay, and to make it a single file, you can make it a single file. But in this case, also we do the joining, we combine these two things. But the condition here is both the file, you need to have the common column. Okay, so you might be asking this, no, in our case, we have product key, but product key is nothing but product in this table. Okay, but in this case, we have used different naming convention, but end of the day, this product key is nothing but this one. So in that case, okay, you know very well, these two are same column. To join more than one table, you need to have a common column between the tables. Maybe this statement can help you to understand it very clearly. To join two tables, okay, to join two tables, you need to use the common column between the two tables. Without specifying the common column between the two tables, you cannot do merge, you cannot do join. What is the difference between append and join? In the case of append, you don't need a common column should exist between these two tables. Okay, these two tables. Simply you can load it. Okay, but here you need to have a common column between these two tables. Only then you can join the tables. Okay, so in the case of SQL, it is called as a join. There are different types of joins are available in SQL. The same joins are applicable in Power Query Editor also. What are the different types of joins? One is the left join, and the other one is right join, outer join, and here we have something else called left anti-join, left anti-join, and we have something else called a right anti-join. And then you have something else called inner join. What is inner join? Hope you remember the school time. We studied the Venn diagram. Inner this is nothing but the intersection, the common value between these two data set. Okay, that is what your inner join. Left outer join is all the values from your left side table, right, including the common value between these two tables, and then the rest of the values in your left side. So this is the common value between these. Let's say here you have 1, 2, 3, here also 1, 2, 3. So it will select 1, 2, 3. But here, in addition to 1, 2, 3, you have 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, the common value between the two data set, and the remaining values like 4, 5, 6 will also be fetched. I just write it here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In this one, you have 1, 2, 3, and let's say 8. 1, 2, 3, 8 is there. So what are the common values between these two data set? 1, 2, 3. That's the intersection, 1, 2, 3. And in addition to that, the remaining leftover values on the left side table, not this one. Okay, the right outer join is opposite. The matching value between these two data set. So 1, 2, 3, and then the leftover value on the right side 8. 1, 2, 3, 8. The matching values between these two tables, and then the non-matching value from your right side table. That is called right outer join. In the case of left outer join, the matching values between the two tables and the non-matching value from your left side table. In this case, I just write it here so that you can refer it to later point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The left join. Okay, this is your left join. The output of your left join. When you use left join, anyhow, don't worry. I will show you in Power Query Editor the merge option so that you'll be. And the outer is, it will combine all the values. A union B, all the values. A union B, kind of A union B, and the inner join, left outer join, right outer join. Here you have A union B, and left anti-join is something like this. Only this values. I just strike out and I will draw it neatly here. So in this case, it will take only this one. Okay, it's nothing but A minus B, the left anti-join, and right anti-join is B minus A. The prerequisite to perform merge, you need to have a common column between the tables. So you might be asking this question, when you see this one A union B, it's simply appending the data, right? All the values from A, all the values from B. Then, why we need to do append, how it is different from append. But in the case of merge, the first rule is, you need to have the common column between these tables. Otherwise, it will not work. Okay. So in this case, if you see here, the product key, right, or the product in this table, in the product column, if you see here, you will have a unique value here. You will not see the duplicate. Nikon will not appear more than the Panasonic will not appear. This is also called as a lookup table. Lookup table or a dimension table. If you are extracting this table from your OLTP system, then it is called as a lookup table. The same lookup table in data warehouse, we call that as a dimension table. But in the case of data warehouse, we denormalize the OLTP tables. That I don't want to tell you so many things, you will get confused. For example, this is the product table. The product table is called in OLTP as a lookup table, whereas the same product table in data warehouse is called a dimension table. At this moment, you just think that way. So what is the difference between these two? This is kind of a transaction file. You just think, transaction data. Every day transaction, every minute transaction will get, transaction data here. The Panasonic, 500, 600 rupees, right? Someone bought with the 500 US dollar, and this day he bought it. And the same Panasonic, one more time it appears, he bought it on 20th January. At the cost of, right, the sales price is 8,000 US dollar. So Nikon, 25,000. So Nikon is appearing more than one time Panasonic because it's a transaction data. The same day, as a customer, let's say when you visit your the fresh shop or heritage shop or Spencer shop, provision shop, right? So you morning one time you go and buy milk. Maybe afternoon you go and buy some other provision items. Evening you go and buy something. The same day, multiple transaction can happen even for a single customer. Hence, this is called a transaction data. It captures each and every transactions. But here you can have the duplicate here, this column. So in this case, in the lookup table or dimension table, this column should not have duplicate values in it. This one, hence this is called your primary key. And this is called your primary key. And in this case, this is called your foreign key. There is a rule in the RDBMS. The same rule is applicable in the case of Power BI also. In this case, it's called your primary key, which means the whichever column you call it as a primary key, it should not have duplicate values. The Nikon should not appear more than once. Panasonic should not appear more than once. Okay, but whereas the foreign key, it can have duplicates in it. But the value, why we call it a foreign key? Because the values, for the product column in this table comes outside of this table. Whatever the product key that you defined it here, only that product column, product value should be there here. Okay, and for him, this is the parent, right? This is a child. A single parent can have multiple childs, right? So something like that. Okay, so here, this is your parent table or lookup table, dimension table. It should not have duplicate values. And here you have the product key, or in this case, customer key or something, right? This is called your primary key. Lookup table will have a primary key, dimension table also. But here you have foreign key, because whatever value is there, the same value should be there. And let's say you have something like Sony. You introduce a new product called Sony, but Sony is appearing here, it is not appearing here. Then something wrong. Okay, it is violating the rule. So as per the rule, whatever the products that you select, first you need to define it in your lookup table. And whatever the product name that you define it here, that product value, right? That product name only should appear here. But in this case, it can appear more than one time. Got it? Hope I'm not confusing you, but I explained you in detail. Okay, because the detail is very much important. What is not sufficient. You understood? Okay. So now what we will do is we will go to the Power Query editor and we will explore all, the append first, and then we will spend some time in merge and see if you are able to complete the merge today. Otherwise, we will continue the next session. Okay. Now what I do is I just go to the Power Query editor, and what I do is I just keep this minimized, and I don't need the PowerPoint now. I don't want to close it because again opening takes time. I just go here, get data. I use some other data. So I just go to the get data, and I'm going to use something called append. It's an Excel file. I just click on the Excel workbook, and then here you will find append 1, append 2 XLS. For you guys to understand how append works and the related data, which data should I use it, I've given the name for the data file also, append, right? So that you should be able to understand quickly. So append 1, I load this file first. But in the real time scenario, you will not have a file name like append 1 and all, okay? It's something like week 1 sales, week 2 sales. You want to add week 1 and week 2 together. You want to add, combine the data of those two things. I just select this tab, and here I can see that all the things are available here. Okay, this one, this sheet. I just unselect this one. Here I have product, sales, currency, date, location. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns are there. I hit the load button. Okay, that one got loaded. And second, I'm going to load the append to file. And here I just say append to. Here also we have something like foreign sales, but here we have only 4 columns are there. In the previous case, we have seen 5 columns. Let it be there. I just clicked on it. I just loaded it here. Okay. For the sake of our understanding, I just rename this one as append 1. And I just rename this one, or I call it a week 1 sales, right? Week 1 sales, something. We'll give some meaningful name, business file name. So this is like your week 2 sales. Sorry, week 2, I pressed enter. So right click on it and then you will find something like rename. Where the hell, rename is here. And here I just go and specify the correct value. Week 1 says and week 2 says good. Nothing but append 1 and append 2. Okay, now what I do is I just go to the Power Query editor. Power Query editor is already there. And if you see here, yeah, I just click on it, refresh. Look here, week 1 sales and week 2 sales. The same table got considered as a query in the case of Power Query editor. Okay, because we are using Power Query, hence all the tables, it considers them as a query here. Week 1 sales and week 2 sales. Look here, in the week 1 sales, first we will explore the data. We have how many columns? 5 columns are there. In week 2, how many columns are there? We just have 4 columns. But if you notice it very closely, here, all the first three columns are same between these two data sets, product, sales, and currency. Both of them are same. But if you see here date, here also we have date column is available, but the column name is different here, date 1. Okay. And here, the next one is we have one additional column is there. So, okay, these two data set, first 3 columns are same, but the 4th column, here it is date, and the second data file, it was named as a date 1. But in the second data file, we don't have the column called location. Even if you have more number of columns compared to other files or there in some files, still append will work. Okay, what will happen is in that case, let's say here, in this case, you have 1,000 records, or let's say 100,000 records are there. Even in week 2 also you have 100,000 records are there. What will happen is it will combine these two data files. It will not cause any issues or it will not throw any error. It will combine these two data files. But what will happen is since you don't have location column available in week 2 sales, it will put for the 100,000 records or week 2 sales, it will put blank value, null in this column. Location column will get created for both data set once you combine it, append it. But problem is, week 2 sales, you don't have a column by the name of location. Here you have 100,000 records. For the 100,000 records, in the location column, you will find null. Okay. And the other thing is, here I have a date column is available. But here the same date column as mentioned the date 1. So hence it will create 2 different columns. A date column will be there, date 1 column will be there. In addition to the location column will be there. Actually, we need only 4 columns. We don't need location. Okay, and for you to understand, even if I have additional columns, is not necessarily all the files should have the same number of columns. Number of columns can be more, can be different from one file to another file. It will still work, but this is the issue. So what I do is when I explore this data, in the sense when I view this data logically, I can think this column is not required for my analysis. Then why do I need it here? Supposing you need to have the location column, make sure that in this file also you have the location column is available. If you don't have it, you have every right to talk to your customer, American customer, tell them, this data file, I don't see location column. Give me other data file. If they say, no, location is not required, then what you do is you just go ahead and remove it. Now, at least here we have 4 columns, here we have 4 columns, good. But here I have a column, the date column name is different here. Let's see if I create append, if I do append, what is happening with this date. You need to go to the home ribbon. On the right side, you will find append queries. Just click on this drop down thing here. And then you have 2 options. Don't use the first one, it is not recommended. Second one, you use it. The first one, when you use it, what will happen is it will combine these 2 data files and it will show only one query. After you combine the files, you want to check, whether all the data from week 1 sales, week 2 sales got combined. You don't have the original data because the original data got combined together into single file. So for that purpose, what I do is for the sake of verification, I just click on the append queries as a new What will happen is it will take the data from these two files and then it create a new file. Right here, week one sales. The second table is week two sales. Take week one sales, week two sales, two tables. If you have more than two files, you can select this one. Let's go with this simple example. I just hit the OK button here. Look here, a new query got created. Append one. Okay, here you can see that in the date column for the first data set up to this, right? The date column as well. But in the second data file, the week two sales, we don't have a column by the number of date is available. Hence, it's put null for the second files, all the rows of your in the second file in the column of date, it will put null, null, null. Similarly, in the week one, we don't have date one column, but in week two sales, we have date one column. But week one, hence it puts the week one sales against, each record in date one column, it puts null here, right? So here in the second data file, date one is available, it puts this value. So here and here null values, it unnecessarily creates, it consumes too much of space on your hard disk unnecessarily. The simple way of doing is I just go to the week two sales or week one sales. I make this column name same. For example, in this case, I go to the week two sales. I just rename it as date one, so that you will have only 4 columns in both the data set. And when you click on append one, now it get refreshed automatically. Look here, we don't have date one column. All the date in both the files appears in the same column. This is what actually we needed. But in the real life scenario, you will get something like this. You will have date one here, the name will not be same. You need to give the proper name. The order does not matter. For example, currency is here, sales is here in this file, whereas here, the sales is here, currency is here. Does order has any problem? Order doesn't matter. It is taken care automatically, Power Query data. Supposing in the first file, you have the currency column is available, the sales column is available here. While appending it, the sales column value will go to the sales column only in other file. The currency data will go to your week one sales currency column only, even though the order is not same. Order doesn't matter. The number of columns also doesn't matter. But the column name matters. The column name should be same. Otherwise, it will create duplicate columns unnecessarily. It can lead to unnecessary storage space. Fine. Now you understood what is append one. So now you have the append one query. In this, you can see both the files data got combined into a single file. So had I not used this append queries one, right? So instead, had I used the first one, what would have happened? It would not have created this one. Instead, it would have combined these two things and then it put append one. These files, these two queries would not have been, available. Okay. So now, okay, we have this data. Now I just go and check. Okay, here we have 5 records are there. Here we have 14 records, 19 records should be there. For the sake of cross verification, we are going to leave this as it is. So 19 records are, we don't see any error here. We don't see any empty. Very good. Next step is I just go here smartly. Your job is over. And what I do is I just unselect the enable load. Okay, and here you have another option called, here also we have the, when you right click on it, enable load. So which means, hey, you guys don't need henceforth. Okay, either or else what you can, you right click on it, delete it. Simply you can delete it. Okay, so these two files we have used it on a temporary basis. After you combine the data in a single file, why you need this one separately, right? But supposing your manager asking you after you delete this one, hey, I need only week one salesman. Who asked you to combine these two things, right? So in that case, you need this data again, right click on it and then enable load. Click on enable node. This one will get enabled. Okay. So best thing what you do is right click on it and select the enable load. Okay. So what will happen is when you click on file, close and apply, this file will not get refreshed. Otherwise, all the files, what are the files that you use it will get refreshed Let's say each and every file has 1 million records in it. Unnecessarily, whichever file or whichever queries I made changes, I want to refresh only that one when I apply, close and apply. Instead, what will happen is, look here, I'll just show you now. See, now we work with only append one. When I click on close and apply, what happens is, this is very important, though the idea is very subtle here. Okay, it append one. Okay, good, good. So here it took into account only append one. Very good. Okay, supposing so in this case, look here, append one, right? So this one. Okay, I just show you this one. I just enable this one as enable load, and then I just click on enable load. If you right click on, yeah, this one got selected. When I click on close and apply, what will happen is, apply changes, week 1 sales, week 2 sales. These two gets refreshed, and then append one will get refreshed unnecessarily. 3 files will get refreshed unnecessarily. So in this case, I know very well these 2 files, I don't need it any longer. Week 1 sales, week 2 sales, I don't need it any longer. Don't refresh it because it has already 1 million records. So now append one has 2 million records. When you simply close and apply, so 1 million records will get refreshed, another 1 million record will get refreshed, and then append one has 2 million, it will get refreshed. So instead, what you do is just say, hey, don't load this one. Okay, and don't load this one. But don't remove this one, keep it as it. So once you unselect the enable load, it will become a Greek letter, right? So the Greek, the font will become a Greek, right? You can see the slanted, the thing letters here in the append one. So this is the one you need to remember it. But in the real time scenario, remember it, in this one, you'll be using, right? You'll be using almost 15 file tables or 16 tables, and each table will have huge volume of data in it. If you don't take care of these things, enable node, where you need to enable the load and where you need to unselect the enable load, you should be knowing it. Okay. Otherwise, what no, it takes a lot of time, right? So it will keep refresh. It takes three quarter of your day. By morning, let's say you went to your office by 10 a.m. The refresh will happen until 4 p.m. Okay, and then again you need to stay late and come back, right? Try to be smart by unselecting those things that are not required after you did some kind of transformation. Okay, we are done with the append query, and now you understood what is append query. The next one is